Hey guys, how are you? Casper here with a video Sunday evening. So I think the markets are opening in like 1.5 hours or so, at least the futures. I know tomorrow we have some markets are closed. I think both the US and Canada. Again, I don't know exactly, but let me know in the comments below. I will go through a mix of things here, which is basically some things that I have been showing on the Substack for the members and on YouTube, by the way. So some of the signals has already been triggered, and then also some future signals that I'm looking at, monitoring and getting the entry out once they trigger. And yeah, we will have a look at the charts. Initially here, I want to just show a little bit of uranium, the spot price that is measured against silver, gold, platinum, and palladium, just to see if there is a potential, bounce here in favor of the spot price. So that is what we are going to have a look at. And yeah, you know exactly where you can find me again. Use link IND on the Substack on YouTube if you want, more signals like this. Again, it doesn't, it is, you can always, unsubscribe if you want to, but I do believe that we are trying to make the best of it in some very hard times with regarding to commodities. But yeah, let's have a let's have a look, guys. Uranium spot price here divided by silver. This is not the most pretty chart. Again, ratio charts sometimes when both of the commodities or stocks or indexes that you're measuring are very volatile, gets a messy ratio chart. I think this is the somewhat the same here. But we do have something to go by, and that is we had a huge breakout here in relation to the uranium spot price actually starting to outperform heavily. And then we came down to the retest of that horizontal level at 2.85, and it failed, right? So we went further south, and we're back to the original breakout of the channel here. We have the golden channel right there. So we finally broke it, retest, and we rallied. We are now here again. And again, are we down to some important fib levels? And we actually, we have just completely underperformed heavily in relation to silver. We are down 60% in like a year. So again, I do believe that we are close to a little bounce here. How big it will be, we shall see. But definitely, it seems way too overextended. So support here at the golden upper trend line and the horizontal support that comes straight through there at roughly 2 in the ratio. We can drop down to the daily and see that we did get, a very interesting hammer candle there. Again, it's the daily. We might go to the weekly to see, if there's anything going on, but let's see how it performs if we can finally start to undo some damages here. It has been very rough, right? Silver gone up for basically 30% in 2024, and the uranium spot price is down from 104 down to like 70 or so. So yeah, let's have a look see at the palladium chart with in relation to excuse me, uranium spot price in relation to palladium. And to me, this still favors uranium, the spot price. The uptrend here, again, fully intact. We are flagging here. We are testing, some pretty, you know, important lines here. But overall, to me, when we have such a run up here and we are flagging, it's almost always a really, really good sign that at some point in time we're going to continue. You can also have the break and then you rally. But overall, we are flag polling here. And yeah, to me, the we are to receive a resumption here in the ratio to the upside. Currently, we have the first impulse, the second is down here, and then we have the third here, and we often get the third, right? So we have one, we have two there, and then we have completed it, the ideal flag, you can say. So overall, still long term in favor of uranium spot price, as long as we are within the flag, of course, it favors the palladium. here we have it against platinum. Again, a bit of a messy chart, I will say. But again, I'm just trying to show you that, every single breakout has been in favor of the uranium spot price. Until we broke the upper here, again, breaking a channel to the upside is always, you get an impulse heavily. And then the big moment comes often when you test it from the top side again, right there. And as you can see, we grinded a bit and then we failed, and we have just been grinding, and now we're starting to slip in favor of uh, of platinum. And by the way, platinum to me is looking, once we start to clear, 1050, 1070, platinum is going to be unleashed and I think have a tremendous 2025, 2026. You can see here we are at the lows of the flag here, and we are at major support. So let's see if, again, if this support holds. If that's the case, we could have a little bounce here in favor of uranium stock price against gold here, which is the big mama, right? If you are to measure anything, it has to be against gold, more or less all the time. So here we have it, massive break there. The yellow rail broke here, and we just rallied, and then we actually came to the double top over here in 2010, and we actually came down all the way over here and just sliding away, testing. We didn't even get a bounce by any magnitude. Getting below, retest from the lower side. Now it's bearish. Testing again, couldn't confirm, and now we're all the way down here at triple support. So against gold, we have triple support, meaning the blue rail connecting these highs up here and the lows there, we are now here again, right there. And the horizontal support is also, very close by. Plus, again, we have this channel going down. I will not call it a bull flag anymore. It was a bull flag initially, but now it has come so far off that, hey, it's more like a channel. So if we can rally and start to break, things are changing, at least on the shorter time frames, in favor of uranium spot price. Good. Again, I think the takeaway is uranium spot price right now is at some decent sized supports when measured against silver, palladium, platinum, and gold. Let's see if it holds. Again, we were looking at the weekly and monthly, so we need to see within like a few weeks if we are getting that ratio bounce that we're looking at. Cool. Some stocks here or ETFs. Again, this is one that we are looking at here on the service on Substack, and that is the Brazilian. Oh, holy bananas! The Brazilian markets, and it's basically a 20-year a 20-year wedge pattern, as you can see there. We're touching here, again, bouncing a little bit. If we can clear, and I say if, because we don't know which way it's going to break. I have my views and maybe a little bit of a bias that we're going to see that. But until we clear, we are not going to go long by any means. Again, you could have been bought down here, of course, at the lower trend line, but I'm personally waiting for the break here. And at that point in time, the alert is on, and people will be known when this has been broken. And when this breaks, when you break a 20-year wedge pattern or consolidation, you are easily looking for like a 5-year. You just hold it for 3, 5, 7 years until we get to the all-time highs. Yeah, it sounds easy, but it is not, because you will have deep pullbacks along the way. But the good thing is you're getting paid. If my math serves me here, you can see 7.6% dividends every year for like 5 years. That is pretty cool. Meanwhile, from the break, you are having like 200% potentially. And the good thing is, once you break here, risk reward wise, you can have a 2% upside, 200% upside. And only, again, if you use it, the standard 10% stop loss rule, you have a 10% stop loss, easy peasy. So again, we will have to wait for some time here in 2025 before we get the break. Hopefully, we could have a little bit of a wind up here again, and then we can get in earlier. But for now, we're still just watching it. It will be, in my opinion, hopefully a great investment And this is also an entry that you can go pretty big in size where because it is a 20-year breakout. So usually they are the real deal, right? So EWC, Brazilian markets, there should be something coming up there shortly. MOS, which is potash, mostly agriculture, broke a huge trend line here back in 2021. So we had the breakout, we have the retest, the rally. We couldn't quite get to the highs up here. We did get to the triangle high. In this case, it's not the high, but that's the high, by the way. So we did reach the trend channel high, the triangle high up there, which was good. And as you can see here, we have been sliding for the better parts of 3 years, 2.5, 3 years, just sliding away, doing nothing. And you can see here internally, if I can draw really nicely, boom, we are breaking out, we are testing it here. So if we are to get above 29.2 roughly, you can see it there. That is your entry in MOS. And the targets, the big one is, triangle high again at roughly 78. Again, when we break, it will take some time to get there, of course, but yeah. And again, typically that is the max greed target. And again, I'm also showing on the Substack, targets that you can take if you are a shorter term, investor, or if you want to take some profits off the table. Also, stop loss will be known, all that good stuff. So I think MOS here, once we start to break, you can also see that little bottoming pattern there potentially, is a pretty good investment going forward. And actually, they pay 3.3% dividend. The 3.3% is not why we buy into the stock. It's purely for the gains. But again, if you have to hold it for like a year, hey, 3%, I'm taking it. IPI is also a stock here that I'm watching here. 29.6 is my entry level. Or I will be adding actually because I have a small position already. Again, similarly, huge breakout here from that 20-year downtrend. And we had a very deep retest with a weak bounce because we are still flagging here. So this could and is a bear flag. However, if we negate it to the upside, right? Let's say we do something like this instead, then you are having a bearish flag negation to the upside, meaning that is actually very, very bullish. Once you have a setup, let's say you have a bullish setup and it fails for some reason and it starts to drop, that is actually one of the most, that's a very, very bearish sign. Same here, you have a bearish flag here or sideways weak channel, which again, people are waiting for it to break down. If it doesn't, you have a lot of people that are shorting up here that has to cover, and you can actually have a decent sized rally here for IPI. FXX is a bit of a weird looking stock, and yes, I only have one trend line on. Sometimes I only have one trend line that is of interest, and this is one of these stocks. Again, we just want to wait for the 08, 2011, 2022, 2024, actually a little bit of a fakey here to break, and then we are ready to go long. Until then, we don't, well, it's a big word, but we don't really care what's happening. You can see here also, again, that topping pattern there, target reached. And you could argue again that we have a little bit of a channel going on there, right? A little bit of a flag channel, whatever. So once we start to get above 41 here, if you are aggressive, you can go long above 41. Stop loss, again, the 10% rule is always a solid, way of approach to this. Again, there's a whole mathematical, simple equation actually behind the 10% stop loss. If you want to wait for the larger breakout, which will happen roughly around here at like 50, then that is also a place where you can go long for. Again, you can have a basically for the entire of this decade, you can be long in this and actually see some pretty good targets. Dividends, nope. JVA is coffee holding. And again, the members know that we are very, very bullish on coffee since we broke a 50-year channel like a few weeks ago, or is it months? I can't even remember. And we got long right around here upon that break, 3.3 breakout, flagging a little bit or consolidating, retesting, boom, and here we go. So long term, this looks really, really good. Are we very stretched here? Yes, but keep in mind, coffee is looking very bullish, so this can go on for a long time. We are into a little bit of resistance here at 5.6. You can see across there we have a horizontal level that is, short-term resistance. Long-term, it shouldn't even matter a thing. So to me here again, the big target is the triangle high at 31. So again, we got long there at 3.5, 31. You're talking 8x, 9x potentially. And you can also see here that we have some levels that comes in, at roughly $7. But again, to me, these are smaller bumps where you can see, a pullback, some sort of a consolidation, but ultimately we should be grinding it higher. For the JVA, land is, again, it's a stock real estate investment trust, and you can see down here it's agriculture real estate, which engage in owning and leasing farmland, facilities, cooling facilities, packing houses. So it's just a mix of a lot of agricultural related stuff. And we talked about, hey, you could easily be buying down here. The reason is golden downtrend is being tested after a huge puke, right? So we had that as support. We had our channel as support. And that was just a good place to, if you want to invest into land, you are getting paid 5%. You're buying somewhat low into double support. It is usually not the worst thing that you can do. And now we're waiting for the blue channel to break. And then, things are shifting. And we could see a major retest up here at like $15, the red one there. So again, sprinkle a little bit here makes a lot of sense if you want to have, again, similarly, potentially a 5-year investment where we could, if we're lucky, see, these highs again here at roughly 36, 38, and we are now at 11, plus the dividends. Again, risk reward wise, it made a lot of sense. Again, this is not a breakout play by any means. It's just a place where into heavy support from the long term and the short term. Yeah. LIT, again, this is lithium. I think I'm quite positive that there will be some massively good investments come along here in lithium once that blue channel breaks. We did see the retest of the long-term red, which should be golden, by the way, trend line here, and we saw an initial bounce. So internally here, you can see that, hey, we have a clear bull flag in the making, or you can see has been made. So again, you can actually snipe an early entry here at like 44 with the expectations of breaking out from that whole bottoming process and the channel. So I think lithium will be mid 2025-ish, maybe late Q2, a great investment. And again, the early guys, the early birds, they can buy into that bull flag there. So yeah, lithium, I think, will be a great one. LIC is rare earth metals. Overall, messy chart. However, looking at it from the 2022 highs, we had a little bit of a, again, a little bit of a messy one because it is a broadening structure, but we were breaking out. We're testing here on the weekly. We can go to the daily and we can, kind of like try to snipe the entry. And again, if you want to be really sure, I would say something in that, range is probably where you start to see the longs coming in. The reason why I don't take, again, the fake out is because that's the fake out, and that is the just before the green candle. So we have this kind of trend line coming down. So we have the squeeze going on here. So I say once we start to clear like $7, maybe a little bit higher, 7.2, then LYC is definitely a good candidate for some higher prices. Keep in mind, though, this is a very messy chart, so you don't, again, it's not with high precision. And again, you can just use the 10% stop loss again for this one here if you want to play with the stop. Messy chart, by the way. Ay, ay, ay. Neo, we have been watching for, I have been watching for a very long time, and I think we are finally there. I, again, we called the entry down there and we rallied, but before that, I actually tried to get in. I got, burned, I think twice, again, with a stop loss. So it is, it is what it is. And I think it's coming up to be one of those times where, hey, we have to get in. Volume is picking up a little bit. And once we start to get above like 4.5, you can go long. Internal break here. We are, well along inside this range, which has been going on for a very, very long time. And I do believe once we break here, we could see that final breakout that takes us way higher in Neo. Again, here you can have a very precise stop, and that is you can actually have a stop something like that. In this case, it's a little bit more than the 10%, but you can just have it below. So you break out, and if we start to trade below 4 again, you're basically out. But the upside there should, make up for the, you can see here, that's the first big target. So you can see they are coming there. So I think Neo is, one of those that have the potentials to do like 100, 200, 300%, over the next 2 years once we start to get the break there. GOR is a stock that we were watching, and it broke right there. Again, until this point here, a bit messy, because whenever you have curves on a log scale, that is when it gets a little bit dicey. You would like to have straight lines. But we finally broke here, we retested, and we are going higher. Simple setup, flat top, higher lows coming up there. You broke to the upside, you go long, and targets are something like that. So again, that was one that we followed and are currently long in. Here we have the coffee and the 50-year channel that I talked about. There it is. And you can see here on the daily that the price action when we broke out is also really, really fantastic. So we're starting to break out, boom, retest of 50-year trend line, confirming and then flagging, and then boom, you rally. Flagpole, measured move. Short term here, again, short term, I'm talking basically the entire 2025. I think we have a local top here because we are breaking this tiny, tiny, tiny channel. So ideally, we get an entry again here, and then we go higher. So short term coffee, a little bit bearish, neutral. The long term, which is the call that, again, coffee here is a 2-year, 3-year hold, depending on how fast things can go. Just look at cocoa, by the way. I think we're in for a little bit of a pause here. But the long term, the monthly time frames, it doesn't really matter. I think if you take the entire range here, add it on top, that is your potential max greed target. So the entry were like 300. This could run to 2,200. Almost 10x. Let's call it 8x as it is, right? Absolutely insane to say that, hey, coffee during this decade here could reach a 10x from the initial long-term and long-term break there. NST here, again, also a little bit of a weird chart, but we were looking at, excuse me for moving all over the place here. We were looking at all-time highs there. We finally broke, we flagged, we're getting higher, again, calling the long once we started to break that flag. So, this is something that I'm trying to incorporate into my investment on the longer time frames, the all-time high, breakout. And this is not a textbook or like a grade A, but it's definitely still worth noting that we are continuing to the upside here, it seems. And this is a gold miner, by the way. Gold looks good, right? And you can again see here we have this kind of like high lows all the way up here. We're pushing into, ideally, we had a touch right here, so we have the connection, but we don't. But anyway, we are still coming up nicely here. And until that changes, this NST looks really, really good. This is the big player, by the way. So they also pay a dividend, roughly 3%. It's a 21 billion. That's very, very big for a gold miner, by the way. Last but not least, it's Orla mining. And yeah, you can see here again, you have a 4-year wedge pattern. Again, you have on top here your breaking, very deep retest, by the way. And now we're grinding higher. First target hit, next target is $10. Again, whenever you can find such a 3-year wedge pattern, 2-year, 1-year, these are the nuggets that you, again, should be very, very interested in to find. Again, it could be a half year, it could be 3 year. The longer, like of course, the better, but that's also mean it takes longer time to reach your target. So there are pros and cons, but the fractal itself is somewhat the same. And then I've removed one here, a stock that again I want to show you can find on the Substack, and that is an energy utility stock that I think has by far the best. This is a 2-decade, fractal, just similar to this, but even better. And they pay, I think, 5% dividend, and they are about to break that 20-year wedge pattern. And boy, will I go long in that one. And it will be a hold for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, depending on how we get to the targets. Again, members will and has been notified upon that long-term entry. So check it out if you want to, guys. Have an amazing day, the rest of your Sunday, and we will see what this week brings. Silver got hammered 3% there on Friday, but I think it's inevitable that silver is on the verge, of these getting to the big 38. That is my next target, by the way. And then beyond that, it's 50, and we shall see. We shall definitely see. Silver is never boring, by the way. So again, have a great, great, great day, guys. And yeah, see ya. Bye.